Synchronized performance shows. Thousands of people are in harmony. It is not an easy task. Rehearsals take place for days. Each team member knows what to do, where, and when. Now we will watch a unique performance show with you. There are not thousands, but trillions of participants in this. Our topic is the creation of a human being as a unique work of art from a single cell in 9 months. 23 chromosomes from male and female came together. A brand new and unique cell was formed. 24 hours pass. Now there are 2 cells, identical to each other. And the proliferation commences. 16 cells in 4 days. 32 cells in 5 days. A piece of meat the size of a needle tip. It travels through the fallopian tube to its destination. It continues to grow by dividing. Finally, it reaches the mother's womb. It sticks to the wall. The uterus is a hollow organ made of muscles. The fetus is attached to the uterine wall. Thus, a building project to complete in 9 months has started. An apartment made of Legos. It's made up of 600 Legos like this. If I tell you this Lego apartment is made of a single Lego. Then a second Lego was formed from this. First, there were 4, then 8, then 32. And as they increased, they became different. Colors and shapes have changed. All of these different pieces are just a transformation of the one in the middle. This Lego turns into that one. That Lego turns into this. Then they perform synchronously and build that apartment building. It was a ridiculous hypothesis. Of course, engineers designed it. All the parts were produced in the factory. Different paints were added. Each came out of a separate mold and offered for sale. Then a hand assembled them. If it were otherwise, we would call it a miracle. Not only proliferation, but also differentiation is very important. If this first cluster of cells, the mini piece of flesh, continues to grow in the same way, we will not have a baby after 9 months. What happens? We will have a 3-kilo mass of such meat. They are all the same type of cell, multiplied from the same type of cell. The unbelievable event in the Lego apartment actually happens with the doll. Cells begin to differentiate. Because the project is a human project, not a meat production project. All organs will be created in the baby's body. The baby needs bone cells, muscle cells, eyes will form, so different cells are needed. These cell types I see are not enough. Not 25, but 200 different cells are required, need to be nourished in a special way and receive vitamins. The cell cluster that will form the baby will be a separate living being. The surrounding area is filled with amniotic fluid. The amniotic fluid acts as a cushion and buffer for your lungs. Protects against impacts. The sac has a special membrane. It does not pass anything that could harm the embryo. A special nutrition unit is required for this period. The yolk sac is created for this temporary task. The food depot will nourish the mission. By the end of the first month, the embryo's underdeveloped eyes, ears, nose, chin, and cheeks begin to appear. Arms and legs appear. The baby is a separate living being. He must have his own heart. It needs a special heart and circulatory system. On the 22nd day, the construction of the heart begins. 3 separate groups of cells begin construction simultaneously and independently of each other. Some cells begin to build the heart. Some cells form the blood circulation system in the baby's body. The third group of cells produces blood cells. The initial state of the heart was a pump, a tube. It requires blood to function. If the heart is formed and there is no blood available, what will the heart pump? Even if the heart and blood are ready but the circulatory system is not built, it still won't work. 3 constructions are completed simultaneously. When everything is ready, press the start button. a group of cells begins to contract and relax, and the tiny heart begins to beat 110 times a minute. This speed increases to 170 in the 9th week. This incredible mini machine will not only work, but will also develop and grow as the body grows. There is a grain of rice in my palm. Once the baby in the womb completes its 4th week, that's it. During this period, neuron cells that will function in the brain begin to be produced. An average of 5,000 neuron cells are produced per second. Right here, a unique computer will be built with software and hardware that no other computer can match. By the 6th week, the chest and abdominal cavities are formed. Skeleton formation progresses. Construction of the stomach, intestines, and lungs begins. On the other hand, nerve cells that will perceive bitterness, sweetness, pain, heat, and cold are created. A cavity is formed on each side of the head. It's hard to believe. Eyes begin to form in a rice-sized piece of meat. After the 3rd month, development becomes visible. The number of cells in the baby's body increases by billions. Some of the organs become active. The baby can turn over, swim, and even push. The eyes are composed of 40 different cell groups. Some cells begin to build the cornea, some cells the pupil, some cells the retina, some cells the lens. Once the construction is completed, all parts are assembled in harmony. The baby's eyelids are closed, but his eyes begin to move. A camera is created in a tiny 10-gram piece of meat. This camera is the highest quality and most expensive camera in the world. The price is $44,995. It shoots in 8K. It has a resolution of 35 megapixels. Our eyes have a resolution of 576 megapixels. The human eye sees 17 times better quality than this camera. A unique camera is created in a 10-gram piece of meat. We cannot determine the distance accurately with one eye. For this reason, 2 eyes with appropriate spacing are created so that we can see in 3 dimensions. At the end of the 4th month, the baby weighs 120 grams. By day 22, the heart was just a single chamber pump. This was enough for a rice grain size, but now it has grown. While the heart works, it also develops and grows. When the baby reaches 25 centimeters in length, the heart reaches its standard structure with 4 chambers and valves. This transformation looks like this. You start your journey in a single-cylinder golf cart. As the number of passengers increases during the journey, the number of cylinders in the car increases and the engine improves itself. You suddenly realize that your 1-cylinder car has become a 4-cylinder car. The engine growing and getting stronger during the journey is an incredible feat of creativity. All organs of the baby grow at different speeds and rates. It has a tremendous growth rate. Its size increases 3,000 times in the 8th week until birth. But after birth, the length increases up to 4 times, and the weight increases 20 to 30 times. This is a plastic baby skeleton. If you notice, the baby's head is larger than the other organs. The baby's head is 25% the size of his body. The development of the brain must be completed before other organs, because it plays a critical role in both its own growth and the baby's growth. But later, it returns to normal size. It decreases to a rate of 12 to 15% of the body. The organ that consists of the most parts is the skeleton. It consists of 300 different parts. Each piece is a separate formation, and these parts grow in harmony, but at different speeds and rates. Amniotic fluid prepares the baby for the world. The baby drinks this liquid. In this way, the tongue begins to perceive bitter, sweet, salty, and sour. The stomach and intestines are prepared for the world with this fluid. But staying in water or amniotic fluid for a long time can damage the skin. For this reason, the baby's entire body is protected by a creamy layer called vernix caseosa, which has antibacterial properties. This layer is still visible when the baby is born. There is also a layer of hair on the baby's skin called lanugo prevents this cream layer from spreading over the skin. Lanugo hairs are shed before birth. If the baby is born prematurely, the hairs may be visible after birth. In the first weeks, the baby's ear was a 1 to 2 millimeter sized piece of flesh. By the 30th week, all of these parts have grown and developed. Dozens of cell groups simultaneously complete the construction of the ear. The baby begins to hear sounds and distinguishes the mother's voice. The human ear is not just a microphone. It works with the brain to distinguish sounds, make sense of them, and filter out background noise. Microphones don't even come close to this processing ability of the ear. A microphone that perceives sound as sensitively as the ear has not yet been produced on Earth. All organs of the baby are functioning in the womb. It just waits and sleeps without the lungs working. Because it will work with air, the baby cannot use his or her own lungs for oxygen. It uses the oxygen that its mother takes in. This oxygen is transmitted to the baby via the placenta. However, in order for the lungs to complete their development, the alveoli must remain open. For this purpose, a special fluid called fetal lung fluid is produced in the baby's lungs. Baby's lungs. These are the alveoli that fill up when you breathe. When the baby is born, this lung fluid is quickly absorbed or expelled, and air begins to fill its place. The liquid is withdrawn, leaving its place to air. This change takes place in just 10 seconds. As the baby begins to receive oxygen, the skin color returns to normal. This process usually takes 10 minutes. The famous atheist Richard Dawkins, who explains everything with natural selection and coincidences, cannot find words to explain this formation in his book, A Selfish Gene. He prefers not to think.
Embryonic development is controlled by an interlocking web of relationships so complex that we had best not contemplate it.
A newborn baby cannot be fed with the foods we eat. As soon as he is born, he tries to suckle milk, guided by the software placed in his body. The baby's attempt to breastfeed is like pressing a button. The mother's pituitary gland is stimulated via the nerves, and the production of 2 hormones begins immediately. Prolactin and oxytocin hormones are produced. Prolactin enables the alveoli to filter nutrients from the blood and convert them into breast milk. Oxytocin triggers contractions that push milk out of the ducts. The uniqueness and inimitability of your breast milk is another wonder of creation. The baby has only one missing organ left. First, it is fed with milk. Then it reaches maturity where it can be fed with normal foods. Simultaneously with this growth comes an incredible development. A stone as hard as marble is produced in the baby's soft mouth. Stone is created within the flesh. Teeth are created. In addition to the verb to create, we use the following verb tenses to tell this story.
Unique cell was formed. Attached to the uterine wall, arms and legs appear. To build the heart. Produces blood cells. Formation progresses. Organs become active. Eyes are composed. Begin to build the cornea. Parts are assembled. Parts have grown and developed. Complete the construction of the ear. Hormones are produced.
Well, are the people who plan and carry out these actions in an organized manner cells that we cannot see with the naked eye? Is this possible? Now let's describe the creation of a painting using similar action modes.
Red and yellow mix on the palette. The brush enlarges the black area. Black settles next to orange. The brush blends colors flawlessly, provides contrast in a white table. The color white makes waves. Dark colors give an impression of depth. The circular motion of the brush handle ovalizes the sections. The brush lightens the color to reveal the ear and eye.
What have we done? We have veiled the painter. The formation of the baby should be viewed from this perspective. When viewing the most perfect work of art ever created, one should not obscure the artist.